Good day and welcome back to another DBZ Dokkan battle video. In this video we are going to be taking a look at the brand new AGL Full Power Final Showdown Super Saiyan Goku and Super Saiyan Vegeta unit. So these guys are a brand new LR. They are a new Dokkan Fest LR that's recently come out with part 2 of the worldwide celebration, and obviously they reference the Cooler Returns movie, which is pretty cool. They look really cool. The animations are pretty decent as well. I wouldn't say they're top tier, but they are good, especially at 2 times speed. In terms of their abilities, they're a Joint Forces or Movie Heroes category lead of 170%, with an additional 30% attack and defense and HP for those who belong to the Pure Saiyans category. This means units like Strength Vegeta, units like Kale and Caulifla, or receiving their 200% leads. They raise attack and defense for 1 turn on their 12 key and on their 18 key, and on their 18 key they greatly lower attack and defense of the enemy. They have key +3 and attack and defense of 150%. They reduce damage received by 20% with an additional key +1 per type key sphere obtained. They launch an additional attack that has a high chance of becoming a super attack, plus an additional damage reduction of 20% for 3 turns from the start of turn. They have an additional attack and defense of 50% and a medium chance of performing a critical hit when performing an ultra super attack. They will receive a morale boost upon performing 3 or more super attacks and receiving 7 attacks in battle. In terms of their total boost, if you calculate it separately, they have an attack and defense boost of 275% when you apply their additional attack and defense of 50%. Once they undergo their morale boost, they will have a key +2 and attack and defense of 150%. They will reduce damage received by 30%, which is obviously 10% higher than originally. They gain 2 key per type key sphere obtained. They launch an additional attack that has a great chance of becoming a super attack, and they have an additional attack and defense of 50% and medium chance of performing a critical hit when performing an ultra super attack. They will perform a guaranteed critical hit when activating the active skill or when key is 24. Their active skill causes ultimate damage and stuns the enemy for 1 turn, and can be activated when facing only one enemy, starting from the next attacking turn after they transform. They have Golden Warrior, Super Saiyan, Saiyan Lineage, Shocking Speed, Prepared for Battle, Fierce Battle, Legendary Power as their link sets. It doesn't change between the forms. And they have Pure Saiyans, Full Power, Joint Forces, Movie Heroes, Super Saiyans, All Out Struggle, and Powerful Comeback. Now the idea with these guys is to try and get them to fire their 3 attacks, which isn't hard. The 3 attacks is actually pretty easy. And to get them to take 7 attacks before their additional 20% damage reduction runs out. That means the moment you have less than 40% damage reduction, you'll immediately switch into the form that has 30%. That 10% does make a big difference, plus their great chance of launching an additional super attack means that they remain defensively sound. They're a very good second slot unit. Maybe at rainbow level they can be placed in the first slot, but they are definitely an excellent second slot unit, and they do a fantastic amount of damage. Here we can see we have them in a pretty nice situation. They're obviously linked up with a lot of good units here, 131,000 defense as well, which is pretty good considering it's going to go up quite substantially after their super attack. That additional attack and defense of 50% will kick in if you get the ultra super, and they're also going to raise their attack and defense for 1 turn. So overall they'll definitely be well over the 250k mark if they fire off 1 super, and they'll be looking pretty good with 40% damage reduction. That means they're looking pretty solid. Of course, damage wise they look very decent. I think they don't have any ramp up or build up, so as long as you get the ultra super attack, you should be seeing some pretty gnarly attack stats straight away, which I think is a good thing. For the most part, they look very solid. I personally find them to be a very good unit. I think I said in my preview for them that they remind me of an improved version of the Strength Vegeta, and I think that is generally pretty good, personally speaking. For me, yeah, it's generally quite good, and I personally find them to be very solid as a unit. Obviously, Strength Vegeta in his day and age was very good defensively, but aged out quite quickly due to the high requirements that were needed. So when you transform Strength Vegeta, you end up being quite bad. Here, we don't, necessarily have an issue. Just because, from my side, we do tend to have like that damage reduction the whole way through. So it's more like a Tech Gogeta situation where the unit is just pretty solid the entire way through. At least for me, I find them to be very, very solid overall. On this rotation, we have the 50% defense, which is obviously quite a nice buff. 157k defense, which is pretty nice. And so we're looking pretty good overall. I think, for 55%, I think they are very good. I do think they're definitely a second slot unit, especially at 55%. The more I see of them, the more that additional defense from their super, the more that the additional attack and defense from their passive on the ultra super, and just all of that combined is going to make them very solid. They're not going to be at all bad defensively after those attacks. They will probably still take quite a bit of damage, especially if they don't get the follow-up super, but at 55% I think they're definitely usable, considering the fact that they're obviously designed to pair very well with the Super Saiyan Goku from the part 1. They make a very interesting pairing for me, because you can clearly see by design that they are an exceptional kind of unit, in that they very much excel alongside a brilliant slot 1 unit. And Goku is obviously a very good slot 1 unit. At 55% again, maybe he takes a little bit of damage, but generally speaking, the fact that you can use them at 55% in super hard content speaks enough to how good they are. Again, a lot of players are going to be running them at 55%. They're not going to absolutely roll the event for you, but they are going to bring a useful ability. Personally, I think that it's pretty solid so far. I think they look really nice. So yeah, overall, pretty decent build, I would say, in terms of them as a unit, would be to go for additional. That third additional will really make them super solid defensively. Plus, they do have a decent crit chance for the majority of their attacks in their base or in their improved form. That being said, of course, obviously raising attack and defense is not the biggest deal. And at the end of the day, they do some pretty nice attack stats, so getting them in with some crit would also probably be advisable. I will go majority additional and then just fill out with crit. I think that will cover most of your bases. It does seem like they crit pretty reliably, so I definitely think building that additional out and just letting them basically go to town, fire off 3 super attacks, and just kind of have their way with things is going to be the best way to go about it. Obviously, there can definitely be some restrictions or limits on how you want to build them, but at 55%, I feel like giving them that additional is just going to help you out a lot more, just because it does improve them a lot defensively, and it's going to make them way more viable. Obviously, in terms of everything else, or in terms of like the overall kind of understanding of them as a unit, I think the morale boost is good. I think their transformation is good. I think it's a nice balance. They start off the game with 40% damage reduction. They only really drop down to 30% if you play your cards right. But they gain, obviously, a lot of like other buffs that guarantee critical is pretty good. The active skill is pretty good. They go from a high chance of super attack to great chance of super attack. And just generally speaking, very solid. Obviously, they have that medium crit chance, which also becomes guaranteed criticals. So overall, I would say they become pretty good. They do lose 1 key, which is kind of weird, but they also gain 2 key per type key sphere obtained. So generally speaking, they become a lot easier to utilize, which I think is more than fine. As you can see here, we're running their Movie Heroes Joint Forces team, which I think is overall a decent team. I think obviously you'll find a very similar team lineup to what you find under the Super Saiyan God duo. They're Movie Heroes and Power Beyond Super Saiyan. You'll get a lot of crossover. The Tech Vegetas, the Tech Gokus from Part 1, the Tech God Gokus for movie boss based events. You'll find a lot of crossover like that, which obviously does help just in terms of like overall performance. I think you'll find that it's generally speaking a pretty chilled, pretty fun kind of team. Joint Forces also has some pretty nice units that get their first 200% lead. I think the most notable being the Kale and Caulifla Universe 6 combo cards. The Tech one gets its 200% lead, which I think is very good. The Tech Kale and Caulifla, very nice combo unit, I think. And also the LR Kale and Caulifla, who link very well with them, also get a 200% lead, which I think is very nice for the team overall. They share decent linkage, but they're both very strong defensive units. Kale and Caulifla, obviously, having that additional attack based on Joint Force and Pure Saiyans units on the team, which does help out. Them also gaining and building up their defense, increasing their evasion. Just a very, very solid unit. One thing I will state is that outside of hard events, you're not really going to see the morale boost that often. The morale boost requires you to be hit 7 times. Now in hard events like Gods of Destruction, Red Zone, Cell Max, getting hit 7 times is relatively simple. It's not the hardest thing to do to be hit 7 times, especially as a second slot unit. Cell Max event is easy for this because you can just stick them in the way of pretty much anything. And obviously Red Zone, the bosses fire quite a few attacks. So generally speaking, getting the 7 hits is not too hard. Getting the 3 super attacks is also relatively easy. The major problem you're going to have is essentially just getting 7 attacks in any event outside of those harder events, because Dokkan events don't fire a lot of attacks, so you're not really going to see it that often, which is fine. You don't generally need the morale boost at that point. You don't need the switch over, because most events will be done before it even becomes relevant. So although obviously it would be nice to have that switch over, to see the animation, to do everything like that, it's just not really necessary. But back to their team skill, I think Joint Forces getting a lead is always fun. They are a very fun category with a lot of strong units. You have some pretty cool combo units, like you can run the Goku and Piccolo exchange unit alongside the Goku and Piccolo non-exchange unit, which I think is a very cool combo that a lot of players are going to enjoy running. Because for me personally, I actually think the Piccolo and Goku is a highly underrated card. Attack and defense of 120%, the launching 2 additional attacks, the attack and defense build up, and just that additional super all the time. It's just very good. So their active skill is pretty good. I just think they're a very cool card. And then similarly with the Goku and Piccolo unit, just again also a super tanky, super awesome card. So Joint Forces I think has a lot of fun going on with it, which is cool, and that combined with an already strong Movie Heroes class, plus the 30% being for Pure Saiyans, is pretty good. A lot of units getting 200% leads, a lot of units running under continual 200% lead, like the in Super Saiyan Vegeta. The Strength Vegeta now also finally has a 200% lead, which I think is very exciting, because they obviously weren't on Power Beyond Super Saiyan, they weren't on Movie Heroes or anything like that. So them finally having a 200% lead is pretty solid, I think, and I think overall that's going to be something I'm really keen to look at and see how much better they do under a 200% lead, because I think that is, super important. The same with Kale and Caulifla. I think Kale and Caulifla getting a 200% lead is going to boost the card. I think they were already on the near cusp of being very usable in a lot of content. I think this better starting stats and better ramping up time will make them really, really good. So yeah, overall, I think very solid actually. I think the general consensus for me is that Goku and Vegeta have a good leader skill. I think it's an interesting one. You can always have like interesting combinations with a joint forces lead, but them also leading movie heroes, which is a strong category in its own right, I think is good. Obviously, in terms of them as a unit, Golden Warrior, Super Saiyan, Saiyan Lineage, Shocking Speed, Prepared for Battle, Fierce Battle, Legendary Power. They don't gain a lot from link leveling. You gain, 5% attack from Super Saiyan, 5% attack and defense from Saiyan Lineage, 5% defense from Shocking Speed, 5% defense from Prepared for Battle, Fierce Battle, and Legendary Power. You're getting like a little bit of defense, you're getting a little bit of attack, but it's not like they've got big bad bosses or terrifying conquerors or Thirstful Conquest or Metamorphosis or anything. So, you do have to just factor that in. You're not going to gain a huge amount. You will gain some. Offensively, they can be pushing the bracket a little bit, but equipment's probably going to help you out a lot more here. I just think, equipment's going to push you on a little bit, personally speaking, more so than link leveling, at least for me. With that being said, links-wise, Super Saiyan, Prepared for Battle, Fierce Battle, those are very common links. You can switch in and out Saiyan Lineage or Golden Warrior as you see fit. You can also use Shocking Speed. Tons of great options with Shocking Speed. You've got the Strength Namek Goku, who's Easy Age. You've got the Strength Vegeta, Vegeta Goku Angel, the Tech Gogeta Goku Angel. So you got a lot of decent combinations here, which I think, personally speaking, just gives them a wealth of options. You can go down the route of linking them with these guys if you've got them. You can link them with the Strength Vegeta. You can link them with the Movie Heroes Goku. You can link them with Namek Goku. You can pretty much link them with all of like the very decent units out there, I would say. I don't think there's a single unit that they don't relatively link well with. There's no unit that they share 7 links with, which I guess is the only real shame. I think from their perspective, they don't share like 7 links with someone, but that's not the absolute end of the world. You don't need a perfect linking partner to be a good unit. Being a unit that links with, shares 5 links with like every single unit in the game is probably better than being a unit that's got 1 level 7 linking partner, at least for me. I mean, they link well with, a la Gohan, all the Super Saiyan Gokus, all the Broly's, Gogetas, Vegetos, all of them they link well with, so that's really, really awesome. And then they even share decent links with the Super Saiyan God duo, which again is pretty decent. Kale and Caulifla they share links with, so they got tons of great linking partners. But yeah, bye.